So okay guys, today I'm going to be taking a look at a SEMA AEP. For those of you unaware of what an AEP is, it's essentially an airsoft electric pistol. Now this particular SEMA electric pistol is their CM123. They make a couple other AEP pistols, and I believe those are more true to the real thing. This one, however, is about 2-to-1 scale of that of the original 1911 that this is based off of. So if you plan to get this, just expect that it's going to be slightly larger and you're going to have a hard time finding a holster for it. But overall, it's mostly made of metal, so for the price, it's actually pretty good. Unlike other AEPs out there, which are really cheap, run off AA batteries, this one can use lipos or it can use nickel metal hydride. Out of the box, it uses nickel metal hydride, however, you can convert it. What this means is essentially you get more power and kick out of this device compared to other AEPs that are battery operated. However, thankfully, since it's a SEMA AEP and they make other AEP pistols, most of these magazines are 100% compatible with each other, meaning you can get the SEMA Glock AEP magazine and put it in your SEMA 1911 pistol. However, with that said, let's get to the mock unboxing. For the most part, I've already opened this thing up, used it in the field a couple of times, and I gotta say it's been pretty good. However, I tried to put everything back in the box the way I found it. However, some of the things that aren't in the box that I didn't put back in are the charger, so expect there to be a charger in your box. However, in my particular unboxing, there won't be one. However, let's get to this. As you can see here, you get some instructions, your pistol, and a couple other little things. An unjamming rod, a quick loader, and your magazine and battery. Now on your airsoft electric pistol, your CM123 I should say, it won't have these grips. These are custom made by me, they're 3D printed, and they fit my airsoft pistol pretty good. Now, if you're wondering if you can use real 1911 grips on your AEP 1911, well, it's a bit of a yes and no. They'll fit fine on one side, however, on the other side, it won't sit flush. This can be easily solved by sanding away and trimming away at some of the plastic on your grip if you want your real 1911 grip to fit on this pistol. However, if you have a 3D printer, I'll link some files down below that you guys can easily go about customizing, printing out, and they will fit on your 1911 CM123 just fine. Now, if you're wondering about other 3D printed accessories for this device and you happen to have a 3D printer, well, there are kind of a few out there. There's a silencer you can 3D print, and there are some magazine replacements that you can 3D print. Now keep in mind, unlike the real magazine that this thing comes with and the ones that you can buy, those are made of metal, so if you do 3D print a magazine, your mileage will vary and they're very tricky to put together, so keep that in mind. But yeah, for the most part, as you can see in the box, that's about all you get. And I guess before I leave this video off, we'll do some test firing and I'll explain some of the other features that this pistol has. So as you can see where the safety would be on a real 1911, that's your auto fire mode and your semi-fire modes. Now as stupid as it sounds, yes, you can rapid fire with this AEP, and yes, it looks pretty stupid. But overall, the feature is there if you need it. Other than that, the magazine release is in the same spot as it would be on a real 1911, and the way you remove the casing to put the battery in is a bit different. Other than that, they're not so good. The slide release on this CM123 is a little finicky. You unlock it and then you can pull it off, but when you put it back on and relock it, it does feel a bit flimsy, like your slide may come off, but I haven't had that happen yet. I'll let you guys know if that ever happens in the future, but for the most part, it's been holding up pretty good. It just happens to feel a little cheap is all. But other than that, your SEMA CM123 will have this QC sticker inside the barrel. This right here is the lever to release the battery. It is very important to not break that off and to actually remember to use that, because if you try to remove the battery without using this, you can actually potentially damage it. Now, even though the battery is a nickel metal hydride battery, they're generally more safer, they're an older battery type. It does actually hold up pretty good so far in my pistol. However, from what I've heard online, it may be worth upgrading it to a lipo in the future if you want a bit more power out of it, as well as battery longevity. I may end up just DIYing a battery for this thing on the channel if you guys wish to see how I do that. Other than that, once you have the slide off, you have your hop-up adjustment wheel. You can slide this to fine-tune how the BBs fly out of the pistol. I haven't needed to touch this since I opened it out of the box. However, since I've taken it apart a couple of times, you do end up having to adjust this thing over time after just bumping into it and various other things. It is rather sensitive. Now, there is one thing to note: if you're aiming for realism and don't quite care that it's a 2-to-1 scale replica of a 1911, I did find, however, that removing the orange tip on the front of this airsoft pistol is rather difficult. I don't think it's threaded on, I do think it's just glued on, and I've tried a couple different ways of removing this, and so far none were very successful. So keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to get this orange tip off without it potentially destroying the orange tip or maybe some of the plastic on the insides. But yeah guys, that's about all I can think of when it comes to the internals of this CM123. It's just pretty standard. You see this on a lot of AEP pistols out there. However, it's just a bit more chungussy compared to other AEPs I've noticed. So how about we go and finish this video off with some test firing. As you can see, it does pretty good, and if you're wondering what the speed of this generally is, it's about 180 FPS, I believe. I can't remember the term for it off the top of my head, but it's actually pretty decent, and on most ranges out there, you'll be able to use this thing without needing it to be chronographed. However, you should always chronograph your airsoft guns before going into a match regardless. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, and I guess before I leave it off, if you are wondering if it ever jams up, I haven't had it jam up on me once, and it usually feeds to the very last BB, so it's actually a pretty reliable AEP pistol overall. But yeah guys, I'm gonna leave this review off here now. DTDK signing off. Peace. Build it within the infinity mirror that I planned to actually put it in originally. A lot of this came down to is type in get clone, then paste that link. It should clone and download everything in.